run into that kind of problem as we're seeing here tonight.
Let me ask you this. We mentioned rap music a couple of gymnasts ago. What is the wildest extreme, if you will, that you've heard in terms of music selection?
Well, I think we're about to see it. If we are able to get the tape decks fixed, we have yet to see some really wild music. Kathy Zolkowski has a real neat arrangement. I can't remember the exact artist, but it's a lot of synthesized music, and it changes beat constantly.
She's the final gymnast, we'll see, and I think everyone
if
really...
We see her. If we get the tape deck
if we get the tape deck straightened out, I think you'll really love her routine. She has a great deal of character. She's from the University of Minnesota. But evidently, we'll see even more, because we'll see Cara Corso go again.
That's right. An unusual ruling, but it's a fair ruling. You know, if the music stops, the gymnast, she probably felt like she was a little bit off sync, and so it's fair that they allow her to go again.
You discussed this a moment ago. It is difficult for Jessica Wolf. She's trying to stay loose, stay warm, and she's going to put her sweats back on while we make this music change. It's a good thing that I am not in charge of changing the high-five system, because we will be here till...
We'd be here all night?
Exactly. I'm not too good with those things.
I hope they do get it fixed fairly quickly, because, as you say, when the gymnasts, they've had their touch warm-up already, but now as the competition wears on, they're cooling down, the joints get a little stiffer, and you know, they're in their leotards. Those aren't really the warmest things to wear, so they got to keep warm. She put her sweats back on, and hopefully we'll be able to get out there and compete soon.
How many of these gymnasts will we see at the national championships a little bit later on this year in Alabama?
It's hard to say. It's all determined on the scores that we've seen earlier in the year. They've got to first qualify for the regionals, then go to the regional championships, and then they have to next qualify for the nationals. Some of these teams may qualify, you know, as a team to the national championships, and then we also may see some individual gymnasts going. Ones that don't, their team doesn't go, but they have a high enough cumulative average over the years to be able to go on to the national.
Okay. You're watching the Big Ten Women's Gymnastics Championships, or you will be again in a short while on Prime Network. We have an audio tape problem with the music, and you can't have a floor exercise without music. We'll come back to Champaign in a moment.
December 29th, 1990. Major Indoor Lacrosse opened its season with a bitter battle between Detroit and Baltimore. This heated rivalry continued in February, and again the men of Motown took the thunder out of Baltimore. Now Baltimore's got one chance to get even. The 1991 Major Indoor Lacrosse Championship. 9 Eastern, Monday night on Prime Network. Available on most Prime affiliates.
So much has gone into the design of Soloflex. Years of refinement, the finest materials, the strongest, most dependable steel, the sleekest, most efficient form. Building in value at every step of design and construction. We know those of you who use Soloflex take pride in your bodies. And at Soloflex, we take pride in knowing that. For a free brochure, call anytime.
So we've moved further down the list of competitors in the floor exercise, the Big Ten Women's Gymnastics Championships. This is Sandy Stengel, a freshman from the University of Iowa.
And we believe she may have stepped out of bounds, not sure about that, but and a beautiful triple twist that she begins with. What a nice first tumbling run she had.
That brought a smile to her face.
A nice little original move there, a little headstand. Sandy really incorporates the tumbling with the dance very well. Some gymnasts can only tumble good, some can only dance well, and she does them both well. There was a nice front summy into a front handspring Barani. And here's a more dramatic, sort of conservative style of music. And here's a change of pace. The judges like to see fast pace and then slowing down. Nice turn on the hands. judges like to see a strong third tumbling run. Pretty routine, very nicely done.
She liked it. Sandy Stengel, 9.65 last night. This is her third pass.
And once again, the judges like to see the difficulty of the third run at least be comparable to the first two, and hers definitely was a nice double twist.
As she gets congratulations, and we have a moment, we'll tell you why Jessica Wolf passed along on her routine. Hopefully, they brought backup music. Her tape was eaten.
Is that what it was? It was completely pulled out of the machine, wasn't it?
That's what we have heard.
Now, we hope that the coach, like I say, did bring along a backup tape. If not, I'm really not sure what they would do. If they would have her perform the routine without music, or I'm really not sure.
Imagine that'd be very difficult. A 9.7 for Sandy Stengel. So that puts her into first place right now on the floor exercise. And Sarah Wasserman, another freshman. She's an Illinois gymnast. So
Sarah scored a 9.7 in the team competition, so she's certainly capable of winning this or tying for first. The first tumbling run. Oh, not
she's
good.
hurt.
Not good. It appears.
And she's holding her hamstring.
No, it appears to be a dislocated ankle, I believe.
Oh, yeah, it's
Not
an
good.
ankle.
Not good.
Sarah Wasserman, who competed earlier on the bars, where she had a 9.55, and if you don't have a good stomach, you might not want to watch this.
Round back handspring, double back, and just, yeah, she just didn't have near enough rotation to complete the move. And the force, if you can imagine the force, the height coming way, from way up in the air here. She opened it up too soon, and very, very tough. Ouch.
So Wasserman being attended to right now and being comforted.
You know, we talked about the fatigue factor, and this could certainly be a case of that.
You generate so much force. You were pointing it out when we watched it in slow motion. You generate so much force and so much height that when you come down, if you come down at all wrong.
Absolutely. When I had a dislocated knee once back when I was competing too. I was doing a vault and just came down a little bit wrong, but the force is so great that it can just do really rough things to bones and tendons, and we've seen an example of that. She's being attended to, and hopefully
well, this is not the floor exercise that we had hoped to see. We had music problems, and now very unfortunate injury to Sarah Wasserman, the freshman from the University of Illinois. And they're going to pressurize that so it doesn't move and transport her immediately, obviously, to the hospital. And that looked like it was one of those injuries that might require surgery.
Yeah, possibly. You know, that isn't that common of an injury. The knee is what's so most often vulnerable in gymnasts because of the landings. So I'm a little bit surprised. I thought, given the way she landed, I thought it would be perhaps more a knee injury. But we've been somewhat lucky in that so far in this competition, we really haven't seen any major injuries. But gymnastics...
There are several, you mentioned injuries, and there are several gymnasts who are not competing because of injuries sustained during the year. Some gymnasts who would have figured prominently here at the Big Ten Championships.
Zsuzsa Chistu is one of them from Minnesota, Hungarian gymnast. All year long scored above 38, close to 38. Terrifically talented gymnast. She injured her knee in January and had to undergo reconstructive surgery, so they're hoping to have her back next year. But unfortunately, injuries are just a fact of life in gymnastics. You can train and have the gymnast repeat the move over and over and over until they're completely confident, but it just, because of the fatigue factor that comes into play sometimes, it's just going to happen.
I'm actually amazed there aren't more and more injuries, particularly on apparatus like the beam and the uneven bars, where you're 10, 11 feet in the air on the bars particularly, and if you miss your dismount, obviously catastrophic things can happen.
But what's interesting, interesting fact about the bars and the beam is that these gymnasts learn how to fall. They really learn how to fall. And
that's Debbie Geiger from the University of Michigan, and she obviously has had to wait a while, and I wonder what is going through her mind, because she just watched
there is
a fellow competitor get seriously hurt.
There is no question that it is on her mind, but the only thing she can do is just try to block it out. She knows what she's capable of doing. She just has to put her heart and soul into it. But there's no question that it's going to be on her mind.
Sarah Wasserman, freshman from Philadelphia, going off. Now 5'5" sophomore Debbie Geiger from Pontiac, Michigan. Sophomore at Ann Arbor. 9.65 last night. She was all Big Ten on the balance beam a year ago. Didn't make the finals this year on the beam.
Debbie trying to collect her thoughts. She's got to have supreme concentration. She can't let it bother her. No matter how unfortunate it is, she has to go on. Floor exercise is something. Oh, they're going to allow her.
Which is fair. Allow her to warm up.
Allow her to warm up a little bit. Yeah. That's certainly fair. In fact, they're going to, I believe, allow all of the remaining competitors to get back out on the floor and kind of familiarize themselves with things again. And
if I could recap for a moment, Wendy Wilkinson from Michigan began the floor exercise. She received a 9.55. Lori Cole, one of our favorites, who was one of the tri-champions on the floor a year ago, did not have her best routine, actually fell on one of her tumbling passes and finished with a 9.15. And then we had music problems. Cara Corso's tape did not finish, so she will get another chance at her routine. And Jessica Wolf had her tape eaten, we believe, the University of Minnesota freshman. And then, of course, Sandy Stengel had a 9.7. And that, unfortunately, the injury to Wasserman as well. We'll come back. More floor exercise after this.
Golfers, get ready for the opportunity of a lifetime. Golf Week on Prime Network gives you the chance to improve your game. Discover the inside story on the PGA Tour, the Seniors Tour, and the LPGA circuit. And see what your favorite pro is really like by talking to them directly.
Hi, I'm Ray Floyd. Hi, I'm Jody Mudd.
Hi, I'm Jane Geddes.
Golf Week. Live from Scottsdale, Friday night at 11 Eastern on Prime Network.
We're here to roast the parents of buckling up. Two guys have lost more limbs than a tree surgeon, Vince and Larry.
I love these guys. They remind me of my husband. Always broke and in a dead-end job.
By getting people to buckle up, they've saved thousands of lives. On the job, what's the first thing that goes through their heads? The steering wheel!
Vince and Larry, tell me, how do you want your coffee? Regular or decapitated?
Everybody give them a hand.
You could learn a lot from a downturn. Buckle your safety belt.